I realize how important my crusade is of removing illegal handguns off the streets of New York. Hi, I'm New York State Senator Eric Adams, and for 22 years I wore a bulletproof vest and stood on the street corners and protected children and families in the city of New York. 37% of Brooklyn speak a language other than English at home. One of the most diverse boroughs, yet we're moving throughout this borough and this city where we don't even speak to each other. We don't interact with each other. We don't learn from each other. And although we're diverse, we live and exist in these silos.
Mr. Adams, would you like to respond briefly?
Yes, he first should follow the rules. Stop means stop. Those captains that he's talking about, they didn't endorse him because they thought he could do a job. They didn't endorse me because I didn't ask for their endorsement, never went in front of them.
NBC reported otherwise. NBC reported you asked for their endorsement, Eric.
Never went in front of them. I said months ago I'm not taking any of the union's endorsement.
You met with the lieutenants and you called the captains, Eric.
Would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me?
Right hand. Raise your right hand.
Well, let's go for first of all, I would love to give me the quotes on my rhetoric because I'm lost on that. Can you give me the quotes?
Oh, that you fairmonger about the subways?
Yeah, give me
you've consistently done that since the day one of your administration. One of the first things you did was add 1,000 officers to the subway because you claimed that the subways are unrideable. You and Hochul did this and said how dangerous it is, and you recently did that when you deployed the National Guard.
Sister, but that wasn't my question, Queen.
We have the largest police department in the country. How many more police do you want, Mayor Adams?
You go do an analysis across this city and communities of color and ask them.
I live in Flatbush.
Do you want us to take
surrounding him, specifically black New Yorkers?
So, this is a biblical moment. You know, when Jesus was on the cross, he said, God, forgive them, for they know not what they do. All these asking me to step down, God, forgive them.
Mayor Eric Adams made it official.
Though I am still a Democrat, I am announcing that I will forego the Democratic primary for mayor and appeal directly to all New Yorkers as an independent candidate in the general election.
Hey, mi gente, it's Julian Steve. You already know my name, but if you're new here, hey, I don't know why I did that, but yeah, at this point, whenever I have like a certain gap when it comes to filming, I just do the most randomest things, but we here. Today, we're going to be talking about my mayor, Eric Adams. We're going to talk about his anti-blackness in the video, and I hope you all learn something and enjoy. Okay, mi gente? Okay, mi gente? Okay. We are going to start now. Eric Leroy Adams was born on September 1st, 1960. His mother, Dorothy May Adams Streeter, was a house cleaner, and his father, Leroy Adams, was a butcher. Both of his parents were Black Americans and moved to New York City from Alabama in the 1950s. Adams, his mother, and 5 siblings lived in a rat-infested tenement in Bushwick, Brooklyn. His mother, being a single parent, saved enough money to move the family to South Jamaica, Queens. Skip, skip, skip. Mr. Adams graduated from Bayside High School in 1979. While attending New York City College of Technology, he worked as a mechanic and mailroom clerk at the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office. He received his associate degree there. I do want to note that Adams suffered from dyslexia, and a diagnosis helped him improve in school. Then he received his bachelor's degree from the John Jay College of Criminal Justice and an MPA from Marist College in 2006. After being arrested and attacked by police officers at age 15, Eric Adams became inspired to become a police officer. He graduated from the New York City Police Academy in 1984 and was second in his class. He served as a police officer for 22 years. He worked under the New York City Transit Police and the New York City Police Department, NYPD. He served Manhattan's 6th Precinct, Brooklyn's 94th Precinct in Greenpoint, and the 88th Precinct, which covered Fort Greene and Clinton Hill. Skip. Adams briefly registered as a Republican in 1997. Then, in 2001, he switched back to the Democratic Party. Adams briefly registered as a Republican in 1997. Then, in 2001, he switched back to the Democratic Party. In 2006, he ran for Senate in the 20th Senate District and won 4 terms. In 2013, he ran as the Brooklyn Borough President and became the first Black American to be the borough president. In 2017, he rerun for the 2nd term and won. In 2021, he became the 2nd Black American mayor in New York City.
We have breaking news. New year, new mayor. Right now, Eric Adams is being sworn in as the 110th mayor of New York City. Let's go live to Times Square.
Would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me?
Right hand. Raise your right hand.
And I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of the mayor of the city of New York according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
Eric Adams has a son named Jordan with ex-girlfriend Chesanina Coleman. He is currently in a relationship with Tracey. I promise to circle back to Jordan and Tracey. Okay, on to the next part of the video. Remember how I said I would bring up Tracey Collins? Well, this is the time. So, as you know, Tracey Collins and Eric Adams have a relationship currently, and back in the day, I believe it was around 2010, they made like a campaign related to sagging pants, and basically the both of them agreed that sagging pants is a no-no because, I mean, why I'm laughing about it, I kind of get their concern to some extent, which I'm going to get there when I get there, but I just want to explain the story. Sorry for laughing. Essentially, Eric Adams and Tracey Collins worked together on stopping, or at least making sagging like less common in New York City. Isabel Vincent of the New York Post states, "Have pride in your appearance. If you raise your pants, you'll also raise your image," was the rallying cry of the campaign, created in conjunction with Collins' Brooklyn-based nonprofit, Fully Persuaded for Children and Families. The youth development charity was incorporated in 2007 and shut down in 2015, according to public records. This was in 2010, and I am not sure if they were in a relationship at the time. Now, respectability politics has been pushed, especially within the Black community. While I usually the type of person to be like, it's totally fine to be who you are, act the way you act, etc., etc., etc. This is going to be the part of the video where people might disagree a lot with me, but I need to say my disposition right now. I personally do not like when people sag. Yeah, I do not like it. I find it disgusting. I find it very inappropriate. And then when you look into the history of sagging and why it came to be, it doesn't sit right with me, in my opinion. I get it. Prisoners had their reasons as to why they were sagging, but then some of them were doing it for booty calls. I'm just saying that, I'm being honest. If you do your research, you will see what I'm talking about. Of course, hip hop became a thing. It became more mainstream, especially in the United States. But now the whole diaspora, and even non-black people are sagging too. So at this point, it's an epidemic. It just got bigger. And regardless of race, it's disgusting to me, period. So it's not just a black thing. It's a whole issue for everyone. However, I do believe that black people get more scrutinized when we do it versus other people. That's why I'm a bit more harsher on the idea of black people not sagging as much, or at least like have your pants like a bit higher and not have your drawers showing, in my opinion. But if you disagree, let me know in the comments.
You should potentially consider a life of public service. I think more and more young people are saying, I'm not doing that. I don't want to deal with it. There's a sacrifice that you take, right? He talked about this onslaught of criticism. He's got to listen to that all the time. His family's got to see it, right? In the newspapers, in the media. And I think that's a critically important part. But as he said today, his decision to join the police force after having been brutalized was a decision to enable change in that space. And if we're gonna hope to see change, we gotta get into these spaces.
37% of Brooklyn speak a language other than English at home. One of the most diverse boroughs, yet we're moving throughout this borough and this city where we don't even speak to each other. We don't interact with each other. We don't learn from each other. And although we're diverse, we live and exist in these silos. It's going to be healthy to start talking to each other. Communication is something we don't teach. We expect people to learn it, and communication is not, I'm just going to wait till you finish a sentence so I can tell you how wrong I believe you are. We want people to start using the humanistic characteristic of just open their mouths and their ears and listen and be deep listeners.
As I stated earlier, Eric Adams is a retired police officer of 22 years. He does advocate for police officers, whether they do right or wrong, which is a problem. Margaret Kimberly of the Black Agenda Report states, but the petty corruption is not even the worst of the Adams administration. Eric Adams is mayor because of his right-wing rhetoric about crime and support from Rupert Murdoch's flagship U.S. newspaper, The New York Post. He didn't disappoint his patron as he violated a court order to close the notorious Rikers Island jail and blocked a bill to ban solitary confinement. He joined the governor in attacking modest bail reform that kept poor people from being unfairly incarcerated. Adams is a retired policeman and often referred to himself as a cop, not as the mayor of all the people. but a member of the force that violently occupies Black communities. First off, I didn't know that Adams supported right-wing the Post CEO. They do not talk in favor of him because if you see the articles, some of them they do not in favor of Eric Adams, nor his son. And even the public comments, like they are public comments. I didn't even check them out before filming, but I'm pretty sure they are saying wild things about Eric Adams and his son. But anyways, Adams' obsession with Rikers Island, the police system, and rejection of affordable bail reform doesn't surprise me. He has been saying this for years. Even before he became the mayor of New York City, he always had issues with all three of these things I just named. As a matter of fact, Adams has John Chell as a chief in patrol of the NYPD. Chell shouldn't be in this role because he killed a Black man in 2008. His name was Otanzo Roel, and his family reached a $2 million settlement in New York City. May Otanzo rest in peace. It's really unfortunate, and the fact that Mayor Adams is backing up this criminal. And mind you, this is not the first incident where Eric Adams has batted an eye for a police officer. I'm going to explain another instance where Eric Adams defends police.
They have multiple reports. The New York Times, the Gothamist, the city comptroller, and the federal monitor who's tasked with. There's been a return of stop and frisk, that there have been over 15,000 stops, 97% of whom have been on Black and Hispanic people, a fourth of.
Let's peel it back. Eric Adams, 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement, testified in federal court that the federal court, we were dealing with 1 million stops a year when I was with 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement. Look at the numbers right now.
I am looking at the numbers.
My advocacy and showing how proper police practices, you must make sure they do them right. And that is what I have been able to accomplish in this city.
On September 15th, 2024, 4 people were injured due to a fare evasion. The shooting happened at the L train Sturtner Avenue station. Darrell Mickles, 37, invaded the 290 fare and jumped the turnstile. Because of him doing that, police went up to him and caused a ruckus to some extent. However, allegedly, Darrell had a weapon. It was a knife or a pocket knife. Well, it's the same thing. Pocket knife is the same thing. The point is, he had a weapon, and he didn't essentially charge at the police officers, but according to them, he kept on pointing it at them, and they felt threatened, and they kept telling him for about 30 times to put your weapon down in numerous ways, but Darrell didn't listen. And then it's not funny, but I have to because of YouTube. But anyways, they injured, besides Darrell, but they injured 4 other people. One of them ended up getting brain damage, which is ridiculous that he got that injured, because for what I read, it looks like they were shooting at Darrell. Mind you, there were 2 police. That means 2 police officers were shooting at the same suspect. Even though, the bullets and the fragments, it went all over the place, because I just told you guys, other people got injured. This situation really rubbed me the wrong way. I remembered hearing about this back in September 2024. And now that I'm here, it's just revisiting the whole subject matter. It's so disgusting, especially for 290, even though the police have said It wasn't really about the 290. It was the fact that they felt attacked by Darrell, and they were worried about the safety of people on the train. This is what Mayor Adams said. He was not shot for fare evasion. He was shot because he had a knife and he went after the police officers. He said on Tuesday, "I thought those officers responded accordingly." First off, I believe the officers weren't black. So when you add that element into the whole subject, it can also be a racial issue too. However, what Darrell did wasn't okay either, but then when you read more of the article, Darrell had mental health issues, like psychologically, and there's a track record of him being arrested for crimes and or having mental health issues. This could have been something where they could have gotten human resources or someone who is like in the medical field to assist. I get it because they were worried about him with a weapon, but if there's a track record of him having mental health issues, I believe the police should work together to resolve that issue and see if there's a way for him to receive the help he needs in prison. I hope he's getting that, but I'm pretty sure he's not getting those type of services at jail. So that's a problem because it's like a reverse system where he's going to go back when he comes out of jail having the same mental health issues and seeing police officers as a target. That's not okay.
I just had a town hall yesterday. All these black and brown folks inside that town hall. We want to feel safer. We want more cops on our corners. We want.
New York City has the most police in the country. We have the largest police department in the country.
Go do an analysis across this city in communities of color and ask them.
I live in Flatbush.
Do you want us to?
Back in February 2022, Eric Adams suggested a ban of drill music. This was due to the violent nature of drill music. According to the Post, Bernadette Hogan and Emily Crane states, the mayor's plea came soon after 18-year-old drill rapper Jaquan McKinney, aka Chi Watts, was gunned down in Brooklyn back in February. Bronx native Chi Watts was unalived in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy. He was leaving a studio when he got shot. I do want to mention another rapper who was unalived a few days before. Rapper Tay Dobson, aka T. Rue, was unalived in front of his home at Canarsie, Brooklyn. While Mr. Adams didn't bring up T. Rue's passing, his death plays a part in the mayor's disapproval of drill music. Even his son, Jordan, jumped into the discussion. You see what I'm talking about? We're circling back to Jordan. He was invited to an interview with Complex's Andre Gee. He states, I texted him and I was like, Dad, you cannot speak for me. I have drill rappers on our label as clients and I like drill music. You cannot ban a genre. And I'm not sure why you said what you said, but I disagree. And he was like, I understand what you're saying and you're allowed to disagree. We come from different times. It's obvious that Mr. Adams and his son have two completely different views. One is somewhat a fan of drill music, is trying to bridge the gap between enjoying the music but also not manifesting it into reality, while the other person is not a fan at all and is just trying his best to mandate policies that fit best for his constituents. I think that's how you say that. I get where Eric Adams is coming from, and even his son, because I did read the full interview before filming this video, and I felt like he brought in some nuances, but I do want to critique a bit, specifically when it comes to Eric Adams' son, Jordan. So he's a musician, I found out because I read the interview, and I did research obviously, but yeah, besides that, but yeah, so in the interview he talked about his music too. He talked about how he does hip hop, but his hip hop is more of like, it's hip hop rap, it's not drill music, but I think he's inspired. You see, I didn't hear the music, so I'm not really sure, but my point is, since he worked in proximity of drill rappers because he was working under Rock Nation, he somewhat knows about things that we don't probably know. I mean, of course, depending who's watching, but most of us do not know. We just know about the music side of it, and of course, wherever we find out. So he knows a bit of more context, but I do believe when you read certain parts of the article, he always mentions about people of color instead of just saying black people, because if we're going to be real, the majority of these issues are coming from black people, specifically black boys and men. So if he just said it straight up, black boys and men, it would have more of an impact, at least to me, but he doesn't. Instead, he just says people of color. And he's not the only one. Adams does this too sometimes when in certain parts of his articles or like in his speeches too. I guess it's like a common thing when it comes to some black people, like in higher spaces and or like trying to be corporate friendly. I get it because we have to be inclusive of everyone. If the majority of the issues is like affecting one specific demographic, you have to be specific. You cannot just say people of color because it doesn't hold weight, especially when there are black people who do not refer to themselves as a person of color because of reasons that make sense. That's why when I was reading the article, it didn't really hit as much as it should have, because of the way he was keep on referring to these black rappers being killed as people of color, and then making it more of like a people of color issue, even though it's a predominantly black boys and black men issue in hip hop. That being said, may Chi Watts and T. Wu rest in peace, and the rest of the drill rappers who sadly passed away too young. Hopefully things get better moving forward. We'll see. Sometime in March 2024, Laura Beach alleged that while she was working as a transit bureau, the mayor offered to drive her home. The two discussed career paths and favors were suggested. Then, the mayor suggested for Miss Beach to do things with his penis. I can't go into too much detail due to it being graphic and this is YouTube. So figure out what I meant by mentioning his penis. Allegedly, Nona is a black woman. It's really disheartening that a black man would use his position of power at the moment while he was a police officer against a black woman for sexual advances, instead of just getting to know her and trying to maybe rekindle something, if of course she wanted to as well. Unfortunately, I do have to say alleged, like I said, because it's alleged. Now, Eric Adams has been indicted of fraud charges as of September 2024. Margaret Kimberly of the Black Agenda Report states, "It was bad enough that Adams was the winning face of the right wing of the Democratic Party, but if the charges are true, he is also an incompetent petty crook who violated the most basic understanding of conflicts of interest rules. He accepted free trips on behalf of the Turkish government and created fake campaign donors to increase his city matching funds." This is pretty bad, and it may ruin his chances of getting a second term as a mayor, which would be awesome because I definitely do not want to vote for him. Just saying.
That was one of the worst kept secrets, I think, that New Yorkers have seen in a while. We could have figured that out. The breadcrumbs were already there.
He can't escape accountability at the polls. New Yorkers are done with Eric Adams' corruption.
Doesn't change our strategy at all because Andrew Cuomo is still running for Eric Adams' second term.
Well, I'll see him in November. I expect to be the Democratic nominee. I think he knows that I have a very good chance to win, so we'll meet again.
Mayor Adams can run as an independent if he chooses. He can run in the Democratic primary if he chooses.
Former Governor Andrew Cuomo, who's been leading in the polls, could absorb much of the mayor's Democratic base.
However, President Trump and his administration worked together to pardon Mr. Adams from his alleged crimes. Sometime in February 2025, Eric Adams had a Black History Month event at his mansion, and in this event, he disrespected Black people who didn't want him to get a second term.
Surrounding him, specifically Black New Yorkers.
So, this is a biblical moment. When Jesus was on the cross, he said, "God, forgive them, for they know not what they do." All these who are asking me to step down, God, forgive them.
I do want to note that Eric Adams tried to back down on his stance because he went to some Fox News thing. I believe it's a troll, and essentially he was backing down on what he originally said, even though it's obvious that he was directly targeting Black people.
The mayor addressed the fallout in an interview on Good Day New York Wednesday morning.
I thought I was very clear in my definition of what I said.
So anybody who's Black who calls for you to step down, they need help from God. I'm focusing on this because your use of the word Negro has come up repeatedly over the last couple of weeks, and I think some people actually have an issue with that term. So explain who you're talking to when you use that term specifically.
I didn't say they need help from God. I said pray for them. Wasn't that what I said? You said, quote, God forgive them. Exactly. Let's pray for them. And so let's focus on this for a moment. Isn't our democracy is based on who the people of the city elect? Why are we trying to disrupt and take the power away from the people of the city who elected me to be the mayor?
But he kept saying, no, he meant all people. Is a specific term towards Black people. For you to say this in a public setting, knowing that people are going to film, and then you're going to gaslight us by saying, no, that's not what I meant. I actually meant this on a Fox TV show, does not make you look good. It makes you like a fucking liar. Before his indictment, his approval rating was 22, which is really no. It's a no approval rating. Most New Yorkers who did the survey said he should resign. Like, I don't care how somewhat pro-Black you are, Eric Adams, but what you're doing to New York City is unacceptable. And the examples I just put here proves my point. I want to discuss Eric Adams' latest immigrant policy. As of April 2025, the Adams administration is allowing immigration agents to operate on Rikers Island. Rikers Island has the worst reputation and was originally supposed to shut down.
Mayor de Blasio condemned the conditions here on Rikers and called for its closing. What critics say they did not hear is a plan that moves fast enough toward that goal. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio visited the jail on Rikers Island Monday for the first time in 4 years.
This place is a place that should no longer be a jail in general. It's the same as 4 years ago.
While the mayor's assessment has not changed, critics of his administration's handling of the situation on Rikers say conditions there have gone from bad to worse. Many of the critics are elected officials who, after their own tour, described the facility as a humanitarian crisis. The mayor, joined by Department of Correction officials, insist they are working to address issues regarding overworked guards and at-risk inmates.
Triples are down. Sick leave is down. AWOLs are down. The population is down.
However, Adams changed plans and Rikers is still open. Now, I believe that this is a horrible idea. Besides, this is inhumane. But Rikers Island horrendously treats prisoners. If they treat prisoners badly, imagine illegal immigrants. Just so everyone knows, it's not just Latinos who are mostly coming to the United States. It's Black immigrants too. And that also includes Afro-Latinos. So this affects numerous people, but especially Black people and Latinos. Now, if you were of a different race and you know what I'm talking about, and you are an immigrant, you might be fine, but even then, they might go through things too.
It's not that I have a problem with it. It's that, again, the sensationalism has a lot to do with the fact that you got up and declared that we have this migrant crisis about the difference between how Ukrainian migrants are being received versus migrants, Black and Latino migrants. Because, again, like, you incentivize New Yorkers to feel this way.
Feel which way?
This feel like there is a migrant crisis where the migrants are being treated different, that you had to cut budgets across because of the migrant crisis, even though recently you decided that you all actually do have the money.
An attorney, and I'm amazed. I think your art is...
Mayor Adams, before you say it, there's an entire council that knows you're lying.
It affects all types of people, but it mostly does affect Black people and Latinos. The Gothamists Andrew Gimaborn and Brittany Kurgenstein states, the move is designed to support law enforcement efforts against alleged international gang members and their associates. According to the order, it is not meant to facilitate civil deportations of undocumented immigrants, as New York City sanctuary laws prohibit local officials from cooperating with federal authorities on those. I really appreciate the Gothamists for writing this piece because we need to spread the word. This is really important. I didn't even know about this until I did this research for the video and I found out. I appreciate the Legal Aid Society and other programs fighting back, and of course residents fighting back.
These transnational violent criminal gangs are here in our city. Some of their members and associates are on Rikers Island.
ICE's return to having a presence on Rikers Island comes with the blessing of the Adams administration, specifically through an executive order issued by First Deputy Mayor and former federal prosecutor Randy Mastro, solely, he insists, for criminal prosecutions.
I say to anyone who says, but what if? Read the executive order. It's narrowly tailored to facilitate direct cooperation in federal criminal investigations and in federal criminal prosecutions, not civil matters.
To be clear, ICE does indeed have a long documented history of having an enforcement presence on Rikers, a presence which led to thousands of deportations. But City Council ended that presence in 2014 out of concern of the agency's presence in the jail system. Fast forward a decade, and the Trump administration has aggressively pursued removals of migrants who, for whatever reason, find themselves entangled in the criminal justice system.
Now, I did also read that this is to protect us from, and when I say us, I'm talking about New York City residents. It's to protect us from gang-related activities. Now, from what I know, or at least what I see, most of the immigrants, because I did read some of the names, they are like in Spanish, like the names of the gangs. I don't see that type of action. I might be wrong. Maybe it's at a different bureau, but I do not see that in the Bronx. So that doesn't apply to me. For safety reasons, I get it a tiny bit, but I just do not think it's a good idea. It's definitely inhumane. It's going to affect not only the criminals, allegedly, but it's going to affect the people that are not criminals. That's why I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. Concluding statement and the outro of this video. Eric Adams is anti-black, however, in an old-fashioned way. As I've stated throughout the video, Eric Adams, it seems like he wants to be pro-black while restricting black people at the same time from being who they are. Some people may agree with certain things. Trust me, I agreed with a few of the things that he said, and people may consider it as anti-black. There comes a time when you have to realize that certain things that a politician does is questionable, and in this case, Eric Adams is really questionable just because he predominantly or exclusively dates black women. That doesn't make him pro-black, because look at his policies. His policies affect black people. It's like he doesn't care. It's like he wants us to just follow that direction, even if that is not your lived experience and or if it affects other people who are not even like in that same lived experience. Hopefully, Eric Adams redeems himself. He is still somewhat young. I believe he's 64, 65. So, I mean, he's old, but you know what? Oh yeah, that's gonna be tricky, because old people are really hard to convince some form of change. So we're gonna see if it happens. We're gonna see. I'm not really sure about that.
Mr. Adams, would you like to respond briefly?
Yes, he first should follow the rules. Stop means stop. Those captains that he's talking about, they didn't endorse him because they thought he could do a job. They didn't endorse me because I didn't ask for their endorsement, never went in front of them.
NBC reported otherwise. NBC reported you asked for their endorsement, Eric.
Never went in front of them. I said months ago, I'm not taking any of the union's endorsement.
You met with the lieutenants and you called the captains, Eric.
I said I was not going to.
Is that true?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yes, it is, Eric.
No, it's not.
You can ask the head of the captains union, Eric. He'll say, yes, you did call.
Thank you so much if you made it this far in this video. Oh, I appreciate you. Be sure to like this video, comment, and share the video. It helps a lot. So many things has been happening with me. Unfortunately, I cannot share too many of it because it's really personal. But I do want to share that one of my pets, Esteban, he passed away on April 11th. And my family and I were still grieving, but of course we are moving on due to other things that we have to handle, and we gotta take care of our current pets still living. So yeah, I just wanted to let you all know that. If you want to learn more about Eric Adams, because I'm pretty sure I probably left a couple of information, please go check out Olay's channel. She talked about Eric Adams numerous times. As a matter of fact, she directly talked to the mayor. You can check out Olay's interview with Eric Adams and her videos on Eric Adams. Okay, mi gente. Okay, mi gente. Okay. Thank you. Check out a different video on my channel. And peace, mi gente.